Hello, and welcome to episode 183. But really, more importantly, the fourth episode we've done in the past 5 weeks.
Fuck yeah!
Of the Book Wars pod. I'm Chris. I'm here, as always, with Kate, Miranda, Rana, and Devin.
Or like I said, as always, even though this formation has changed so many
I'm
fucking
here
times.
as sometimes, as has happened at least one time before.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought. I didn't actually eat dinner.
My bad.
So,
I saw you. You had a big, one of those big
yeah, I had a
things
Costco tub of peanut butter pretzels. What about
sitting
it?
literally right next to you on the couch, like it was watching TV with you.
I don't. Is anybody here hearing a problem? Because I'm not.
I
Exactly.
think
Here
of
you go.
Always Sunny.
Oh my god!
Thank you.
Pretzels. There you go.
There you go, dude. I asked you if you wanted me to bring us in so that we didn't have to live through this, and instead, this is what you're doing.
Yeah,
huh?
I thought we agreed Kate was bringing us in. Also,
No, I said I would do it.
are there
heard
why
why-
honorary co-hosts?
I can run the intro back.
I'm just executive decision. I'm resting this from you because your
Go for it.
brain just
Go to
melted.
town.
I just watched your brain melt out your ears. That was cool. Anyway, so this is our third time discussing big old Active High Republic comics. So we're doing Marvel High Republic series. So that's 11 through 15, and through the end of the IDW's High Republic Adventures, the second volume of the Age of Balance manga. But that's not all. We're also doing Trail of Shadows number 1 through 5 and Eye of the Storm numbers 1 and 2. So if you got all that, good for you. I'm pretty sure I read those numbers correctly because I have that math dyslexia. But anyway, what are we drinking?
Can I just start by saying this
Yeah.
has nothing to do with anything?
Yeah.
Eye of the Storm is what my high school theater department was called.
Why?
Because our mascot was the Hurricanes. So it was like Eye
Um,
of the Storm production or whatever bullshit.
Does
I
that
don't know.
somehow imply that the theater kids at your school were the calmest of everyone? Because
Oh, they were obviously not.
I was about to say that's fucking dramatic, and then I realized what we were talking about.
fucking
So, honestly, pretty good.
Killed herself alive on the pod.
Okay, Devin has found the buttons.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
friends.
I know where two are. I've just been trying to use them more.
oh my god, you're just firing on all cylinders today, aren't you? This is good.
I'm here for it. We're in cancer season. Keep her humble.
Oh my god. Burb, what do you have even for your beverage?
It was 85 degrees today, apparently.
Yeah.
Which is, the entire country was hot this weekend, and it was 60 and pouring on Saturday here because Portland. So 85 degrees today. I am obviously drinking a stout. I'm not
Seems
actually a
all-
stout person, but I bought it a couple months ago, and it's been sitting in my fridge, and I was like, I don't have any other beer.
Did you perhaps buy it during stout season?
I don't know.
But did you buy it during Stout Month?
Oh my
No.
gosh.
I did not. But it is a stout from one of the breweries here in Oregon that does a big thing for Stout Month. This is a Fort George beer. It is a Churro Cavatica. So it's
Ooh.
like the regular Cavatica stout, but hang on, I pulled the website up. It's our
We do fucking
beloved
love
best-selling
churros.
Cavatica stout infused with vanilla, cinnamon, and 600 actual churros added into the mash.
What?
Yeah, it's
That's amazing.
I'm not usually a big stout girly, but she's pretty good.
God, I would fuck up 600 churros right now.
Oh, all the same. You had 600 peanut butter pretzels, and you still came here with no brain.
Those aren't the same.
Oh my god.
They're not churros.
Bro,
It's a
what?
whole different experience.
If they had been a Costco tub of churros, this would be a very different experience
Okay,
right
also,
now.
So
the real
bad.
question is like Mexican churro or Spanish churro?
I mean,
I don't even. What is a Spanish churro?
So it's like a churro, except it's just like it's not like dipped in sugar or anything. You just get
oh.
like the fried dough, and they give you chocolate, but really it's just like hot Nutella.
So are you
Oh.
saying a Spanish churro is a churro with less flavor because it
That's
No,
what
but
I'm
you
hearing.
you dip it
adds
in
up.
the
Sounds-
the Nutella is key.
Sounds about white.
It's very good.
I listen.
I
I've
do
had
stand by it.
I've had Mexican churros where they also gave me Nutella, and guess what? It was awesome.
Yeah, if you're getting good Mexican churros, they come with like a chocolate sauce, with like a caramel
sauce.
Ooh,
It's good shit.
Good. It's good. It's good stuff. Burb, whatever we get you back to Denver, we'll go get some stuff.
Where are we taking her for churros?
I don't fucking. Wait, there's definitely a place around there.
Okay, I mean, I'm not opposed. I just like. Listen, I have a note on my phone filled with restaurants to take out of towners, and I don't have a note for churros.
You should find one.
I should find one. Absolutely.
Also, this is truly.
Going on the Reddit Denver food sub after
Oh
this.
Christ! This is truly extra chaos pod. If you hear barking in the background, that is solely Orca making gremlin noises at Flicks because they're allegedly playing, but mostly he's just like kind of like chasing around and screaming. So he
I'm
is my son.
sorry. I might get canceled for this, but low-key, it's going to be an episode where it sounds like we're calling in from the hood because we got all the dogs barking. It's like also about to be 4th of July and everybody's fireworks are going off. And then also the smoke detector in my apartment won't stop beeping even though I changed the batteries. So
my
we're
God.
just full-fledged back to our roots. Like, here we are.
It's fine.
Yeah, but
All
I'm
right.
here for
Well,
Orca's
you
little
heard her.
nonsense.
#cancel Rana.
Oh my God.
Not the first time.
The
nor
pod
last.
did tweet today for the first time in
Ex-
well over 3 years.
I think you meant
Was it at Elon?
it was a skeet.
It did both. In fact,
Oh
Yeah,
ooh. Okay.
we
I was
both
looking on-
tweeted and skeeted. Thank you very
I
much.
was looking on Twitter for hockey things and I saw a real tweet.
It was the same tweet / skeet in both areas, but
Great.
I'm not apologizing. I'm not. You're waiting for me to do it, and I'm not.
All right, Rana, what are you drinking?
Not enough. So I had to run downstairs to get this because y'all, it's been a fucking day. It is also a heat wave here, so I'm on the East Coast again. It was 100 degrees air temp and 107 feels like temp. I was at the beach, it was whatever, but the AC in my upstairs is really not working enough, so it's whatever. But if Argos isn't panting, we're good. Anyway, I had the reason that I'm telling you the story that makes no sense is that I had to go off camera because sorry for that terrible fucking beep. Again,
Why are
it's
smoke
not my
detectors
fault.
like
The
this?
batteries are new. It is a problem with the machine.
It's okay.
Always blame the machine. Anyway, so I poured myself a little glass of this and then I put it in the fridge because I was like, why did I want to bring the bottle upstairs? Am I a fucking alcoholic? What's wrong with me? And then I remembered I wanted to bring it upstairs to say what I was drinking. So I had to go back and get it. Doing great. Doing really great. So it is Chateau Saint Michel. It was a cheap ass wine at the store, let's be real. But it sounds fancy.
Mhm.
Rosé. It says it's dry, crisp, and elegant from the Columbia Valley. And then I made it into a little spritzer because you know
Ooh.
it's 99 degrees. Actually,
yeah.
I think it is still about literally 87 degrees outside at 10 p.m.
Nope.
But I topped it off with some polar blueberry lavender flavor for a
Ooh.
little hydration. Yeah, you hear it saying battery low, makes me want to fucking kill myself. It's fine. The battery's not low. I have the pack of them right here. It's fine. Anyway, let me stop before I break my laptop. What are you drinking, Chris?
I am drinking. Hang on, I know this one. Okay, I remembered. I am drinking
Oh my God.
a virgin oak cask aged single malt from Talnua Distillery in beautiful scenic Arvada, Colorado. It is a local distillery, and it's quite good. This is not, I'm gonna be honest. This is not my favorite of their whiskeys, but it is the bottle that I bought because it had just won an award when we last went there, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." But it's good. Honestly, I'm trying to kill the bottle so I can buy more of other things.
Well, if you had told me you were trying to kill the bottle, I would have asked you to pour me some of that. Also, while you're talking, can you tell everybody what I'm drinking? Because I don't actually know because you poured it for me.
Hang on, I know this one too.
Yeah,
Kate
Chris
is
definitely
drinking-
knows this one.
Kate is drinking New American Gin from Spirit Hound Distillery in beautiful scenic Lyons, Colorado. Another somewhat local distiller. That one's probably a good hour away from here. Yeah, hour and a half. Lyons is far. It's in the mountains. But yeah. So Kate's drinking that.
You're on one today. I also have some like black tea here because I'm a low energy ass motherfucker, and so that's what's going on. It's only Tuesday. It's fine.
Just call her Jeb. No one gets that except Kate, but that's really all who needed to get it, so that's fine.
No, Burb got it.
Boo.
Burb
I'm
got
sorry,
it.
was this a Bush joke? I mean, given the current political
Yes.
situation, I suppose it makes sense. But
Yes.
Please clap.
Please clap.
Please clap. Thank you. Thank you, Devin. More than Jeb ever got.
Yikes on a
Does
bike.
anyone remember when George Bush Sr. mentioned Jeb's kids being the little brown ones? No?
What?
No? No?
I remember that.
What?
I remember
I
that.
was actually not familiar
I
with
remember
that.
that.
That's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Like in the worst way, but yes.
Yes.
Just to
Yeah.
clarify,
there-
so we don't all get
Is there
canceled.
a
Just
different
Rana.
way?
Devin, what do you have?
I mean, this little brown kid is having some grapefruit.
I knew you were going to say that shit.
So it's just some grapefruit seltzer water. I've been walking around pretty much all day, so it's mostly just been water.
That's a good thing. All right. Before we get into even more nonsense, want to highlight our cause for this batch of comics and also probably the next book as well is the Harriet Tubman Center in LA. They have the weirdest website address because they are working off of a free Google site, so it's like one of those URLs that's 85 things long. But if you go to their link tree, it's just Harriet Tubman. What they are is a social justice group committed to fighting racism, organizing for immigrant rights, queer rights, and fighting against U.S. imperialism. So they've basically been a centralized kind of clearinghouse for a lot of the protests that have been going on in LA, including the ones that were all over the news a while ago that Trump decided to call in the fucking National Guard on like a normal. So yeah, please give them money because they're like dealing with a lot of like absolute fucking bullshit, like even more than usual. So there you go. Harriet Tubman Center in LA. Having said that, let us dive in to the comics, which yeah. When where are we is kind of all over the place and everywhere. So I think
The when is a relatively condensed period of time. The where is everywhere.
yeah, I mean, so
The
it does
galaxy.
right.
Far, far away.
The Republic.
At the beginning, not at the end.
Oh my fucking god. To be fair, there's some stuff that happens that that ranges a little bit from the aftermath of the Fellow Republic Fair because it does get mentioned. Obviously to the destruction of Starlight Beacon and a little tiny bit after it because that's Marky and Rose they're sitting there and gloating about his victory and whatever the fuck else. Yes, Burb, you're raising your hand.
We have definitely talked about this before because I'm sure I've asked. How much time passes between the Republic Fair and the fall of the Starlight Beacon?
It's probably got to be like a few months, right, Chris?
Yeah, it's like
It seems like a few months. Because, like,
six-ish
suddenly,
months.
some of the comics, it's suddenly like, oh, we've been working together for a couple of months now. And I'm like, girl, what?
I would say it's roughly
I just turned the page.
equivalent. I would say it's roughly equivalent to the also undefined amorphous period between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
I would also like to just throw in that if you're trying to keep track of time particularly across comic books, you're going to have a bad time. No pun intended. No pun absolutely intended. Just go with vibes. So that's all I'll say.
I mean, that's also how Star Wars works, to be fair. I remember back when I used to be on Twitter and everybody would always ask fucking Pablo, what's his name?
Hidalgo.
Pablo Hidalgo.
This poor man.
Like how much time does hyperspace travel take? And his answer was 100% of the time, however long it needs to.
Yeah, I also remember back when they like rebooted the canon and made everything like made all the old stuff legends, that they were like trying really hard to like keep a fairly strict timeline, and then they realized that was a horrible fucking idea because they would have to hold themselves to it, and now it is a very loosey goosey, like amorphous thing. Like obviously there's like been a proliferation of Star Wars media since Disney bought it, but I remember back when they had those like very precise timelines. Like you'll see like now they just generally group it into like High Republic, like Fall of the Jedi, Age of the Empire or whatever. No, there used to be like years on that. They would put like BBYs on it, and now it's just like, and then they kind of like wrote themselves into a fucking corner with it, and now it's just whatever it is, and it still kind of bothers me because I'm like, then you just should have started off with it being a blob, but that's just me problems.
I'm sorry, Kate, are you asking Star Wars to have everything plotted out before they started?
Shut the fuck up, Chris.
Somehow. Didn't the EU books used to have like ridiculously precise years all the time? Or am I making this up?
Have no
I
clue.
think they did, but then they also like didn't work.
Yeah, well, nothing about the EU. I mean, they were highly entertaining. That's what.
But yes, I think allegedly they did.
I just vaguely remember being a kid and like finding them at like the used bookstore or Goodwill or whatever the fuck, and it'd always be some obscure one with like the weirdest shit. And then, but it would be like, I don't know my numbers. What is a Star War? But oh my god, if this alarm goes off.
Beep.
Anyway, and it would just be like 289 BBY or whatever the fuck number I
Right.
just made up. Please don't. Another reason to cancel me. I hate Star Wars. You really hear.
As someone
Fake
who
fan.
has read 5 whole Legends books, that does sound familiar.
Also, I know what BBY stands for. Okay, I just forgot for a second.
That's the droid, right?
Wait, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, I just
no.
realized what I
No,
said, and then I was
it's
like,
not a
"You
droid."
stupid fucking bitch."
Oh, okay, then I might need some. Wait, what?
BB-8 is the droid. BBY is before the Battle of Yavin.
Right.
So
it
AKA
could be
before the first movie.
It could be 289. Like
Before the
that's
original movie,
that's
I
some
should say.
wild shit. That's
First
like
is a
basically
relative
where we
term.
are now in the High Republic. I know it's not either. Please don't cancel me.
That is specifically what we're going to cancel you for.
Oh my God.
Star Wars math.
Oh man.
Sounds about right.
Beep. I'm sorry, I'll stop doing that.
Okay, I also have my fan directly on my face, so I don't care anymore.
We're doing great, guys. We're nailing it.
You can edit it all out if you want. I don't care. This is what
No,
happens
keep
when
it
I'm
all
on
in.
the
This,
pod.
this is gold. All right. So, I will say that 2 things I noticed is that all the comics kind of like hinge on these 2 events that are centered around Starlight Beacon. So we have the silly little Padawan Rumble race thing that they do where there's no rules. You just have to beat buckets of blood, basically, which everyone fails at.
Wait, does Devin know what buckets of blood means?
I think it'll be better if we don't tell him. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it down as a title, but that's as far as my knowledge will go.
Yeah, it's self-appointed.
It's yeah, that's fair. And then of course the other event that is an anchor point for the comics, this batch of comics, is the destruction of Starlight Beacon. So putting on my writer teacher hat, why have these be the 2 events that coincide across these comics? Like, what do they do for readers?
Well, the one is obvious. I have no idea what the fuck is going on with the Rumble race. Like, suddenly it just appeared in one of the comics.
Don't worry about it.
It's just a
And
silly
it
like
was just, like,
field day
I love
thing.
it.
Just be
It's-
glad that I didn't make y'all read the Great Jedi Bake Off Spectacular. Yes,
Wait,
that
I
is
did see
a
a
one-off.
preview for
Wait,
that.
why did we read
I saw a preview for that.
Can we read it next?
What the fuck is
We can
wrong
read
with
it.
you?
I'll send a link around.
Y'all, these are very like frustrating times to be alive. If I could read about a Jedi Bake Off, I'm doing that shit.
All right, fine. I'll send around the Great Jedi Bake Off
What's
Spectacular.
wrong with you? You have no joy. Are you all right? Do you have a soul?
Should we be here for this conversation?
It's like a counseling conversation.
The number of times people have asked that, but like
You-
Chris
you
and
mu-
I are just having a normal everyday conversation is really incredible.
It is very funny because like many readers and readers, you may be these people. They don't quite get that it's a bit. And so they're all like, including like people that I've worked with in the past, like they're all like, "Does your wife actually like you?"
Wait, remember when I dated that dude like a year ago and he listened to the podcast even though I told him not to, and then he literally said, "I don't think Kate likes her husband."
I do remember this, and honestly, that should have been a red flag right up front.
There were many. There were many. You know, whatever. It is.
Yeah, I had a
like
coworker
Star
who
Wars
listened.
and I have bad taste in men. This is not surprising.
Very funny.
I had a coworker who listened once, and he was like, "Yeah, your wife's like really mean to you."
Like giving you helplines.
Just blink twice.
Also, I'm sorry, like, not to. Wow, another reason to cancel me is like almost as bad as asking what someone is wearing. But like, you did marry a woman from the Bronx, so
It's true.
That-
Also,
It did marry Kate from the block.
still extremely Chinese. Still will dunk on you. Never forget that time. Like I don't know. I feel like a few like visits ago, you walked in the front door of my dad's house, and my uncle immediately started dunking on you. So, you know.
Bearing straight theory.
Orca proves Bering Strait theory. Okay,
It's true.
it's true. Because in case you forgot, my dog's racist. and he thinks he only likes Asian women. It's fine.
God.
Okay. What the fuck were we talking about? Oh my god.
What's harder to follow, the High Republic or this conversation?
Oh my god. All right.
Kate, you
in
were
terms-
asking us about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in terms of like why these two events, I mean, obviously, like the destruction of Starlight is like a watershed moment that, like, honestly, probably is even bigger than the Great Disaster that started this whole trilogy, because the Great Disaster felt like a natural disaster, and this, I mean, at the time, to the majority of the galaxy, felt like a natural disaster, and this is very clearly not, because we have Marky Mark going on Galactic CNN and basically being like, "I did this, do something about it."
Yes.
But in terms of why the Rumble race, I mean, Daniel Jose Older wrote both High Republic Adventures and Trail of Shadows and
Yep.
Midnight Horizon, which we're reading next. So
I think we're just having a good time there.
yeah,
And if we really want to overanalyze it, there's some interesting little moments where is her name Lily? Is like, remember how I used to have fun? And I think it gives us that little glimpse as well into like, damn, being a Jedi is fucked up.
Yeah. I think it does a few things. I think obviously, like we've been talking about, the Fall of Starlight Beacon is kind of this, big like Marvel like like super event that cuts across all these different media, and obviously Starlight Beacon is the most logical place for all these people to like be crossing paths, because it's it is a crossroads and a major location in the Outer Rim. And also I think there's something to like towards what Ron was saying. I think it does give us this contrast of, oh, thing like here's this fun, like cute, like little lighthearted thing, and everybody was together and we were all having a good time, and then everybody died. So yeah, I do think it's providing that like kind of like mood comparison point of like this was like the last good time we had at Starlight Beacon before it exploded. So yeah, I think like I think as a person who like grew up in New York during like when 9/11 happened, like I have like the two things I hold in my mind about Like the World Trade Center is obviously like day of, and also I was like literally there 2 weeks before it happened, and like those are the two things I'm always gonna remember, about that particular location. So I think it's not. Um, yeah, I think it feels realistic that like these are these two hinge points are like what we're intended to focus on in terms of the long story timeline of High Republic.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's also like just important to remember that, like, obviously in the books and in the TV shows and the movies, that particularly with modern media, something always has to be happening. You don't really get like quiet moments, but Star Wars was and is a franchise for children, and that's what it was created as. That's what it arguably still is. It has its different kind of offshoots, where it goes into different genres, but I think it's an important, whether it was intended like this or not, I do think that it was an important moment of levity to remind folks that, like, hey, like, this is fake and in space and also for kids, and it doesn't all need to be terrifying, and people don't need to be dying on every page. It doesn't need to be Game of Thrones for it to be enjoyable.
And then
it was Game of Thrones.
and then everybody got crispified.
And then everyone died.
Everyone died.
Not everyone got crispified. Some people died on entrance to the atmosphere.
Thanks, Chris. That's great.
I guess that's
Nice.
different crispification.
I'm very depressed now. Just kidding. I was very, very depressed. Burp, were you saying something?
No, I was just saying space. They don't do that to you.
Yeah, that's true. That's accurate. I don't know who put in this big character recap of who died and who did not.
the roll call.
Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah.
Go
So
for it.
just so people can
Chris, you
keep
just
track.
got so excited about introducing this roll call.
This giant paragraph on the outline of dead people.
And-
Yeah, so we're just gonna
and
go over real quick
There are a few alive people, but yeah, go on.
the list of confirmed survivors and the list of not survivors. Confirmed survivors: Avar, Elzar,
Yike.
Bell, and Ember. Ember really is the most. Ember is
Key.
Ember is tier 1. Everybody else is tier 1A or below.
Accurate.
Indira, Court, and Zint,
Yes.
The little
The
baby.
new bestie.
Yes, the little baby. Oh my god, that was the cutest thing where he was just
So
like,
cute.
fucking would die for Zint.
yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So small. She's so small. I love her. Yeah.
Emmerich and Cyan. I don't know. Is that how we're saying her
I think
name?
it's Sean.
Sean.
Yeah, because Irish.
That's fair. Emmerich and Sean.
Space Ireland.
And that's it. That's really it. Through other context of seeing them alive in other media that happens after this event, we also know that Vern is alive because she's in the Acolyte. And Yoda has to be here somewhere.
Plot
I
twist:
guess.
Yoda is a space ghost. He actually died on Starlight Beacon.
That would be honestly
That-
really embarrassing for Dooku and the Emperor. They lost lightsaber battles to a space ghost who died 200 years beforehand.
I'm not, or I am actually surprised that J.J. Abrams didn't write this. So
Right? So that includes so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 confirmed named characters that survived the fall of Starlight Beacon. Does
Mhm.
anybody have any others that I forgot?
I'm sure I do somewhere in my brain hole, but I'm not gonna think of them right now. Can I just say that fucking Master Flubber just getting shot in the fucking head and dying just like that was real fucked up? I was like, oh no! I don't know. I didn't even know he had like a brain fucking center anywhere. I thought he was just dispersed goop.
you know who I don't see on this list who's confirmed, as Chris said, not survivor, which is how I'm forever gonna think of things. Whatever the fuck the hot thing was that got electrocuted before it
Oh,
started.
Miarga.
Yeah, Miarga.
Miarga
Look,
the
that
Hutt.
I did read one comic. No, I'm just kidding. I read them all.
Very, yes. excellent point. So yeah, so we got
my
the
gosh.
9 that survived. Let's go into everybody who didn't.
Oh man.
3 episodes later.
Yeah. the SpongeBob voice. 4 hours later. Stellan,
Wow.
famously dead, famously and happily dead. Skier, Buryaga, and Buckets of Blood were all on board Starlight when it fell.
My
Um,
homie.
Does that
My homie
does
with
that
the good
mean we
name. Oh,
know?
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
mean-
does that mean we know they're dead, or is it
So-
like show us the body?
So
It is
that
Star
means
Wars.
like if you think people can survive a space station falling and exploding into the atmosphere, then that's a personal choice. But we
They've
have
got
not
the
seen a
Force.
body.
A body or a lightsaber. I think seeing Stellan's lightsaber is confirmation he's all the way dead.
I
Yeah.
agree, and also Avar could not feel him in the Force.
That's true.
Stellan, I think we can firmly agree by
Stellan's
every
fucking dead.
definition of the word, is dead.
Chris, I'm gonna have a note later on in the episode about Stellan in these comics that you are not gonna like, and I'm just gonna flag it now so you can all prepare yourselves.
I mean, that's fine. I got everybody to agree with me that Stellan sucks. In
He
the
does.
last
I hate
book
him.
while you were
I
gone,
hate him.
Rana.
Yeah, no, I agreed on when I was there for half.
No,
of
that's
it.
true. You were on the Stellan sucks train early. That is
Remember, I
true.
bought the shirt that says "All my homies hate Stellan." No,
Yeah.
Okay. And then Devin thinks it's about the
Yes.
damn Stellan Skarsgård.
Yes. So yeah, we have Stellan, Skier, Buryaga, Buckets of Blood. We'll call this category dead or probably dead.
Also, can I just say you spelled skier wrong? You forgot the second S, which is lizard racist, and I really hate
Skier.
it.
Damn,
I
that's,
hate that
that's
about
fucked
you.
up by me. I
I think it's
apologize.
really fucked
another
up.
one canceled on the pod.
Mhm.
Orla, Nib Asik, Rigald Cole, all crispified before the space station even went down. Farzala's master, Obertuck, got captured by Marky and Rowe and
Can I
crispified.
Also, can I just say I never wanted to see that mushroom naked in my entire life, and that's what I had to look at.
Well,
okay.
That's
If you haven't read
That's
these
foraging
comics
for you.
and
I
you
don't know
want to
what to tell you.
see a naked mushroom, now you know they are
I was
available
like,
for free online.
That
Pirate
that
shit.
was between that and like Buckets of Blood straight up just like getting down to his skivvies. I was like, absolutely not, absolutely not. I can't. I've seen so many naked Jedi. I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want it anymore.
Buckets
So it's-
of Blood is at least like ripped.
That's true. It's not like like.
I'm sorry, did you not expect Buckets of Blood to be jacked as fuck?
Okay, so I'm gonna say like in terms of like from worst to best in terms of naked Jedi, it's Mushroom, Diaper Luke, and then Buckets of Blood. So I will.
I'm
I'll throw that in.
100% putting Diaper Luke below the mushroom.
Agreed.
1000%.
No, but like at least he had a diaper on. I saw everything that belonged to the mushroom. Okay, I felt like I
Don't
was
mushroom
violating
shame,
him.
Kate.
What?
Don't mushroom shame.
that
It has
mushroom
two
was,
meanings.
was
Oh.
foraged. I think it's fair to say.
What the fuck?
The
All right.
leveler is a truffle pig.
Um,
Anyway, thank you, Devin. Also, other than Master Obertuck,
also.
Nuron Bakarakana got husked.
Ah,
Flubber got
crispy.
shot in the head, such as it was a head. Maru had the most badass death of them all, fucking disintegrating as he held a space station together. That's how I want to go down.
no, he was. That legitimately made me sad though. He tried so hard.
Maru is the underappreciated hero of Phase 1.
Yes,
Pour one out for Estala Maru.
I know. Also, he had to deal with all the logistics. That's the real struggle.
And with both Avar and Stellan.
It's true.
Irish King, thank you, Rana. Kieran got shot for being stupid.
I was honestly that one also shocked me. I wasn't necessarily sad because I didn't feel anything about this kid, which we'll get into later. But like
It was that one. I think was like honestly one of the most unexpected.
that was shocking. to
Yeah,
me.
it was
just
a
very
very
sudden.
sudden. It
Yeah.
was a very sudden turn of events.
And it didn't quite like match with the same vibe of the rest of the comics, so it was surprising.
Yeah, it was very notable. Court we saw get on a shuttle leaving Starlight. You know who we didn't see? Lula and Farzala.
I don't think they
Notably
killed
not on the
Lula's-
shuttle that
Lula's
left
the
the
gay
top
one,
half.
right?
Yes.
Lula is the gay one, correct.
Thank you.
Lula is one half of the gay couple.
Yep.
Um,
They're not together. It's very teenage yearning, but
Mhm.
yes.
yes, it's exactly. It is literally teenage yearning. That is correct. Yoda hasn't been seen in like 15 episodes of the pod since his fighter was shot down over Vrant Tarnum in
probably
the High Republic Adventures.
Could be a
Useless
space ghost.
stinky frog. I hate him.
Vernestra, Avon, and Imri were also on Starlight Beacon at the end of Mission to Disaster, and we don't know anything about them leaving. We know, obviously, that Vern is alive, but we also know that Vern was pictured in Keeve's little like nightmare vision thing when Avar was holding the station together.
Great.
So we had 9 confirmed survivors. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 likely or confirmed dead.
Great.
It's a children's story.
50% is still failing.
That's accurate. That's completely true.
Sorry, Kristen would like that joke. May she rest in peace, alive in her home with her
May
child.
she rest in parenthood.
I know, right? Really? Yeah. Okay. So I need a sidebar for Court. I did not expect him to fucking evolve from a Cubone in this at all ever. Like his face just like his dead thing face just fell off, and I was like, oh shit, you have a real face.
I loved that little subplot. That was so fun.
Ooh, me too. No, I love that he was just like a chaos baby. And these 2 old women were just like, literally, what do we do with this thing? Because that's how I feel about babies. So every baby feels like a force baby to me. But no, I thought that was adorable. I really liked getting his backstory, especially because like he's the one who for so long did not speak basic, so we didn't really know a whole lot about him. So
He still doesn't speak a ton of basic.
he's trying. He's doing his
speaks-
best.
He's trying. He's
broken
doing
basic.
well, but it's like very funny just to watch like the conversation between him and Little Court.
Yes.
And it's just like, we have no idea what's going on, but they're just so excited and happy.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's the cutest thing in the world.
I know. It's precious. It was precious.
Excuse me, please put some respect on Zint's name.
When have I ever known somebody's name?
That's,
not-
you know what? That's a fair point.
It's still not Yeet.
It's not. Yeah. So, Rana, do you want to talk about your absolutely inflammatory take in the outline?
Wait, the one that's way later?
the
No,
one that's right here.
about
Oh, my favorite. Oh, that one. Yeah, sorry, I have multiple. So you all may think, given how self-absorbed I sometimes am, that my favorite character in these books would be Rana from a few like years ago,
yes.
but it's not. It's my homie, Norin Bucka. Oh my god, I fucked this up, and I said it so many times to practice. God damn it. Norin Bucka Rakana. That's my homie. We're buddies. I know nothing about this character, but every time I see this name, it just makes me so happy. And every time also it would be like bolded when they would say it, and I'd be like, that's fucking right. Say it again. So anyway, that's my favorite name in Star Wars. Chris is mad. I don't care.
If Yeet could read, he'd be very upset. Just the disrespect flowing through this podcast
I will say
right now.
it's pretty ironic that I said to put some respect on this character's name and then got it wrong. Well, you know what? I don't follow my own notes. Not the first time.
It wouldn't be this pod if you hadn't though. To be fair.
Rana,
I also cannot read. I'm right there with you.
Rana, when did you turn into the white corporate world trying to honor somebody who has a slightly complicated name and then getting it
I'm
wrong
sorry.
in front of
Are you
everyone?
speaking to Raina, the
Raina.
podcast? host?
Yikes.
Or Rana?
Raina
or Renee?
Lapine?
I've heard it all.
Ugh. Blech. That just like that just made me shudder. I was like, oh, that sounds so ugly. Don't say that. Who put this as too many people?
That's too many people. That's so many fucking people.
It's a lot of people.
I
Like,
understand.
Every and especially like once because it's been a while since we've done the last set of comics, and so you read, okay, like this set of Jedi adventures because they're all named Jedi adventures, and you're like, okay, I kind of know who these people are, and then you jump to the next one, and it's a completely different set of characters that like there's so many Jedi in the High Republic, famously.
I am
it's a
so
lot to
excited for us
track.
to start phase 2, in which literally none of the characters are familiar.
You fucking kidding?
I will say when I skipped 2 books, this was how I felt getting back into the last book, where I was like,
That's fair.
what is this?
No,
then
that
Kate was like, learn to read.
I didn't say that.
No,
um, the way Miranda's face absolutely fell though when Chris said that it's a completely new batch of motherfuckers. Like,
Yoda's there, I guess.
oh
What?
man, that's
I
not
don't
what I
give a
want.
shit about
Congrats.
Fuck that.
You can have more Yoda.
Oh my
Everyone's
gosh.
happy.
Yeah, that's not what we said. Um, I will say it is much harder for me to keep track of everybody's name when it's in comics and as opposed to like reading a book, and I don't know why that is. It must be something about how my brain is wired. Um, but yeah, it just stuck. It just stuck less well. I remember I got back into the comics and I was like, I remember you because I have a picture of your face and I have no idea when you maybe actually this explains it. Sometimes I just like it's like I can do faces or I can do names, but not both at the same time apparently.
No, totally. I mean, I think that's I legit. I think that's valid. Like, because with books, you really only have a name to go on. Or like if they're introduced without a name, then they're usually described really well and referred to as like the stranger to borrow from later in the High Republic, in the Acolyte. Um, but like in comics, like even if you know
Also,
nothing about
To
the
be fair,
person,
Manny Jacinto has a beautiful face, but go on.
yeah, Manny Jacinto has a beautiful face. I am not too straight to admit that. But like in comics, like even if you know nothing about a person, you can, you know, to quote the dear deparented Kristen Cerisi, that bitch blue.
It's true. She loves a
Quartz
blue boy.
We all love a blue boy.
All right. People who are decidedly not blue and therefore they suck. Like, can we talk about Avar?
Remember when I told you that Elzar might be the least annoying of the trio?
This is horrific to me.
But
I just
but
want to
Avar is hot.
I mean, agree. Like
Elzar. That's what Elzar said.
Elzar for sure is saying that right now as we record.
All he thinks about is boobies. It's Avar's boobies all the time. Anyway, sorry, go on.
I don't think it's just Avar's boobies. Remember how he was like, "Oh my god, a woman who doesn't want to sleep with me? I think I have respect."
That man.
tells me it is in fact just Avar's boobies. Listen, Avar and Sean are two characters who were primarily depicted in a visual medium in this phase. All I'm saying.
Avar
Divorce.
kind of sucks though.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
She's just so mad. I say as a person who's always mad. Like she is out here though just being like, I am frustrated and I am fucking sick of dealing with all these Nile who are just like making a fool of us and killing all my friends. And yeah, I'm just gonna put a little rage into it. And poor Keeve is out here just being like, you're supposed to be the most grown up of all the grown ups leading this mission. Can you please not? Can you fucking not?
When
Also
there's
the-
suddenly a lightsaber battle between them, I was like, wait. First of all, you have a common enemy. Second of all, what the fuck are we doing? Sorry, let me mute.
I mean, she's been hanging out with Elzar too much and his like whatever dark side fiddling around nonsense
I
business.
don't know if this could be a pod after dark comment. I guess it is like fucking 11 p.m.
This
but I
is the
will
pod
say,
after dark.
If she were hanging out with Elzar in a better way, she would be less angry. So pick a fucking side, all right? Get it
Has
out of your
not been
system
dicked down.
and stop attacking strangers. Well, not quite strangers. Like these are your enemies. Or maybe just leave them alone and find a new outlet for the anger.
Sorry, I was gonna make a joke about space vibrators. Anyway,
but also, like, in addition to being angry, like, Avar literally took away Skier's lightsaber for being, like, murderous, and then used it to try to murder someone.
Who says no?
I think I suspect a lot of people would say no.
white women though say yes.
Keeve says no,
Yeah.
for sure.
Notably, not a white woman.
Yeah, famously.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. But between that and Elzar still not feeling like he has a good handle on, you know, his whatever dark side tendencies he has, as shown by him literally cutting a motherfucker in half. This is all gonna go well, I'm sure. Especially because like they seem to consider Stellan like a like a moderating force, which that makes sense because he's moderates and cowards go hand in hand. But um yeah, I don't think this is gonna go well. I have a lot of concerns. I know we're not gonna see them in phase 2. So whenever the fuck we pop back in to that's what we missed on the High Republic, I'm very afraid. I'm just very afraid. That's all. That's all
Do
I
you
got.
know what Disney Plus would never do, but I would
Mm.
watch, and maybe no one else would watch this, so it's whatever. I want to see like a reality show about Starlight Beacon with all of these different things. I want the like what is it called? Confessional booth. I want
Yes.
all of this specifically for this sort of messiness.
The
Make it happen
Beacon
to Disney
TM.
Plus. Be bold.
No, honestly, like I would love for Star Wars to just make it weird, and they just won't do it. And every time they like kind of do it, like they poke the weird a little bit, they're like, it's canceled.
The only one who's allowed to be weird is Filoni. Thank you very much. It's written into his contract. Nobody else is allowed to be weird.
He's got like I don't know, lots and lots of pictures of like Bob Iger in compromising positions hidden under that hat. I don't fucking know.
There's a lot of room under that hat.
I was gonna make a shaming comment, but I'm gonna keep this one to myself. I'll put it in our notes.
Yes. Also, yeah. I need So somebody else wrote this down about like how do they keep falling for just like Nile traps into doing bad stuff, but also like I need like a 30-second sidebar for Stellan being like the Nile are more smarter, more organized than we think they are, and I was like, Stellan Geos, did you hit your head on something before you like breathed this sentence? Because like that doesn't sound like you, bro.
He would need to have a brain to be damaged in that case, and I'm not convinced he does.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's real fair.
Preach, Rana.
That's real fair.
Yeah, Stellan is like it's and it's again like I will continue to I don't know. I had an idiom and I lost it, but I'll continue to talk about this. Stellan just continuing to uh be representative of how predictable the Jedi are in their reactions. Again, is just completely mirrored in the Jedi of the prequel era, in which Palpatine is able to play them like a fiddle. Like Marky and Rowe predicts exactly how to cripple Starlight Beacon in the order that they need to do it without being detected, and then like how to go about making them flee back to Coruscant, which is something we've never seen them do, including in the prequels when shit
they
was
all
like
get
real
dead.
bad.
It does really make me wonder how the fuck they held on to power for this long, because I'm just not seeing a lot of, I don't
How
know,
do you-
organization, basic processing, like pattern recognition. I'm worried for them. I really
have-
am.
This
They have
is
space magic, and they're the dumbest motherfuckers in the galaxy.
it's because of Space Common Core. I really I like so good real good points because like at this point they are supposed to be more of the like scholarly type of monks as opposed to cop monks question mark. But yeah, no, there's a lot of questions here about like just like it at some point somebody is leading one of the Jedi's leading Republic forces like into like sort of some investigation, and he mentions like these people have never seen battle, like they don't know what war is, like they don't know what like quote unquote real hardship is, and he could be just as easily be talking about the Jedi, like they haven't had to deal with any of this in a very very long time. So yeah, it's like there's no skills, it's fine.
There's really interesting, and I didn't write this down. I just thought of it kind of in response to what you were saying, Kate. There's real like beginning of World War One vibes.
Oh no, here he
in
goes.
how, particularly in
Oh.
Trail of Shadows, which is like very noir, and like noir is obviously a genre that is associated with, I think it's fair to say, the first half of the 20th century.
Mhm. I would say like the interwar period for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like there's big like they've never seen anything like this, and that's because nobody's ever seen anything like this, and nobody knows how to handle it. And I find that very interesting because then we have obviously the Clone Wars 100 years later, where the Jedi are already in this kind of world police Team America mode, where they are very quick to just slip into the military mode, whereas in this era they're slower to do that, and they don't really know how to fight, quote unquote, even though Stellan makes them do it. So I just find that really interesting.
Another sidebar for if Star Wars did like some sort of like mini series that was just a hard-boiled detective caper, I would be so all over that. But again, they would not do it. Because-
What's the name of the
they suck.
Jedi who's like a detective in one of these? I've mixed them all
Emmerich?
together in my head.
Emmerich.
Yeah, I would watch a show about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
No,
wanna
he's a
watch
lot
it.
of fun.
That they're gonna fuck in that show.
Right? Man, remember when Star Wars had like so many projects on all different genres in the works, and then they just canceled all of them, and we just got like 17 different Mandalorian spin-offs? I've been quested to follow the flowing
Shut up. We're talking about Takodana. I don't know whoever put this Takodana shout out on the outline, but I agree. It was cool.
I am so happy to see Takadana again.
Yeah, sorry, that was me. It's not as funny, but I just when I saw Maz, I know her name. I just thought of Return of the Maz. You know, in my head, I was really excited.
That made me so happy.
why
No,
I said
I was with
Maz.
you when
I
you
would-
wrote that
oh, yeah,
down, 100%.
absolutely.
Thank you,
yes.
thank you. I was like, I don't know, y'all. I was so happy to see her again. Kate, the thing that I texted about you was about Maz, and I was like, yo, low key, Maz is Kate. Like, except for those who didn't hear. So I've been texting my coworker about the US version of Love Island because I finally started watching it. And so I had been like giving all my hot takes on people, not really hot, they were like lukewarm takes on things, and then had that open on my laptop, was reading the comics on my laptop, and went to text myself because we didn't have notes yet, and wrote Maz is low key Kate. But I sent it to my coworker who was like, did I forget about two people on Love Island? And I was like, this is really hard to explain. Please don't listen to our podcast.
Oh my god, that's so good. I
That's
love
my
that.
story. That's why I'm on the pod today, for awkward anecdotes and not for any real Star Wars knowledge. But I am really happy to see Maz again.
No, I was too. And also like the way that she and Sav kind of play off each other is just so good. Just two old ladies, just like
Amazing.
yes, that was incredible. I love
It's
that.
big
a lot.
Golden Girls energy.
Yes, and yeah, we feel positively about that for sure. Sav is probably like my favorite character that gets introduced in this batch of comics. She was. Listen, we'll talk about my quibbles with the manga in a second, but like she was definitely like she was just scene stealing in every part that she was in a great way. So yeah.
Also, I just love that DJO had to like slip in that last name. Like, okay, we can have some fun last names. We can have so like it was a good time. I was like, all right, I see you.
Yes.
DJO and Zoraida Cordova are just famously the best at just being like, fuck it, I am putting objectively Latine names in Star Wars. Shout out to famous Star Wars character, literally Izzy Garcia.
I fucking love it. I'm here
That's
for
so
it.
good. I still need to read that book.
I'm
I was in grad school.
listen, I have my issues with Phase 2, but it does bring Zoraida into the High Republic, and I'm so here for it.
We do love Zoraida.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. God bless her.
I still cannot believe that she did that. I'm
Poor
so
woman.
glad,
Questionable
but I'm like,
decisions were
why?
made on her part, but regardless.
Charitable decisions. It was very kind of her.
She's an excessively kind person.
Yes, correct.
And a great writer.
Yes, all
We
the
love
above.
to see it.
So we have, so this probably fits more. Well, we'll talk about just like doing things in a visual medium, but like I was also glad to kind of get a little visualization of what people are seeing when they encounter the levelers, because everyone's like, it's so terrifying and everything goes wavy and I can't see anything, and I'm like, yes, like reading this in my imagination, this sounds bad, and then seeing it on the page was with the thing with many eyes and whatever the fuck was going on. Yeah, legit terrifying. Especially, that's the kind of thing that's just like uncomfortable enough to live in my nightmares. So yeah.
Does
I
anyone? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Burp.
I like that we got to see it, but I almost want it to like be a mystery still.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is like just from a storytelling perspective, because it is still such a mystery to the Jedi.
That's fair. Mm-hmm.
Like we see in the Eye of the Storm Productions, Huntington High School, shout out,
Oh my god.
series that like Martian goes and like finds them or whatever and like goes back home and does all that shit. But like there's this terrifying thing that's just crispifying all of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like the ones who survive are terrified of it. And like I think that just builds a lot of suspense not knowing what it is.
That's fair.
So like I do appreciate that we get to see it because it is cool and like I mean for an actual visual medium, like I really like the design and all of that, but like I don't know. I think it would have been better keeping it like a terrifying mystery.
I feel like that's a very I feel like that's a very classic struggle of horror in
Yeah.
visual media. Like
I think I've been thinking. As soon as you said that, Burb, I thought about like Chris and I. We've had conversations about like Bird Box and stuff like that.
that's exactly what I was going to bring up. So for those who watched Bird Box back, it was like the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh,
It was a
fucking
while.
no.
It was a long time
Mhm.
ago. But
Time's fake.
it's a Netflix
No, I think it was
movie.
even
Watch
before
it,
the
Zoomers.
pandemic,
Yeah,
based
I
in the
think you're right.
apartment I was in.
I
2019.
think it was before the pandemic. I
It was
agree,
it was
Rana.
like it's like a fine like horror movie, but in that movie you never actually see the monster. And the reason for that is in the book that it's based on or the story, I can't remember, but in the written media that it's based on, the main character does see the monster, and they had to cut that from the movie because they showed it to Sandra Bullock and she started laughing.
Which I think is great because
It's
like
phenomenal.
because
Yeah.
there's a very thin line, honestly, between horror and comedy, and which people don't usually recognize. And yeah, for sure.
It's interesting, and it's a very I'm gonna bring up a forbidden franchise, and if we want to cut this afterward, let me know. But it's kind of very reminiscent of in Harry Potter and like the Dementors. They don't like how do you depict fear?
Yeah,
And how the boggart like turns their
Yeah.
fears into like something very funny with minimal changes. And it just shows how contextual and emotional and raw fear is. And I think that is very, very difficult to portray in really any media, but I think, comics
Mhm.
obviously takes that challenge and makes it a much harder.
I think that's a fair comparison, like in terms of being a cultural touch point, like, and also mentioning that horrible transphobic.
JKR sucks. Don't support Harry Potter.
know,
It's
the-
not actually that good.
That
do
transphobic
it.
asshole is not getting any money from this. Fuck you.
Fuck
I hope
JKR.
you fucking get hit by a bus.
Every time you listen to our podcast, J.K. Rowling actually loses money.
Oh God, I wish. How do we do that?
I know, right? Really? No, I mean, I think it's a fair comparison because, like, I've just been like thinking of the levelers as like worse Dementors, basically. So yeah.
Yeah.
that's
I
fair.
will say, like,
Mhm.
I hear you, Burb. I actually disagree because I feel like there's some real art in like monster creation, especially in oh my fucking god, this thing. Anyway, this is my fucking personal ass monster. Anyway, it's fine.
There's a nameless on Rana's ceiling.
Loki. Yeah, it's just a fucking broken smoke detector that thinks it doesn't have batteries. It does have batteries. It's a really modern like first world problem type horror. Anyway, so I think there's real artistry in like creating something new and not just basing it on something. I apparently because I was a child in the 90s, the first thing I thought of when I saw this design was actually like the early Resident Evil games and the
Mm.
liquor creatures
Mhm.
that I was like so scared of as a kid because I was like, it's like they mixed a dog and some evil creature and then took off all its skin and gave it a really long tongue and it's evil.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. But anyway, that's what it reminded me of. But I really like when they don't just hide it, like, yeah, build the suspense. But I like the sort of exploration of what we can actually see in this creature, or especially in Star Wars, like with all these types of aliens. I just think it's a fun time. They are kind of scary, but you know what? These little creatures, not little, these massive bloodthirsty creatures are like a little bit cute at the same time. Like in a Halloweeny way.
They're puppies.
Rhonda would think they're cute. I think
Any-
that's awesome.
Any quadruped can be cute in the right context. I stand by this.
Ooh.
It's true. Chris thinks hippos are cute when they eat your face. so
Hippos
you-
are the
Hippos-
hippos are
We cannot start
God's
talking about hippos in
creatures.
this podcast. I will start yelling.
Oh my. What? Jeez. All right.
No, for unrelated reasons, we love hippos.
I was
And
gonna
I've-
say Moo Dang will fight you, motherfucker.
Moo dang will fight. I have some unrelated hippo opinions that only you two would be involved in, and we don't
Oh.
need to get into that.
Oh,
Alright.
okay, that's fair. Listen, not everybody has hippo trauma like GW students.
GW kids. Anyway.
But
No, that's fair. Yeah, no, I can absolutely see both sides of it. I'm the person who like kind of errs on the side of like what you imagine is probably scarier than anything you can actually see. And also visual medium, totally get it. And also at least they made the design super fucking cool. So I take all that for sure.
and it's also interesting because like you think about Star Wars has like a history of struggling with this, right? Because like Darth Vader is like part of the reason he's so scary is because he doesn't have a face.
He's a refrigerator.
And he's a refrigerator. He's a very angry refrigerator.
refrigerator.
Exactly. Famously. But also you think about like a character like Darth Maul who
Badass.
I remember it was one of the like Lucasfilm documentaries, but like basically Darth Maul came about because George Lucas went to the concept artist whose name I can't remember. Apologies to that man.
The concept artist for everything. Macquarie.
For Star Wars.
Macquarie.
It wasn't Macquarie.
All right.
It was the
whatever.
prequels.
I lied.
Macquarie wasn't involved by the prequels. It's like Ben Burt or something.
Okay.
I'll look it up later
Fucking
and be
hell.
wrong. But he basically was like, draw the scariest character you can think of for this. And the guy came back with like basically this like zombie looking motherfucker who looked like a swamp thing. And George Lucas took one look at it and was like, draw the second scariest thing you can think of. And that's
some
how we
Clive
ended up with
Barker
Darth
shit.
Maul. And now Darth Maul is like almost like a comical character because he's been in so many of the animations and he's like just this tragic Shakespearean villain.
But he also made me poop my pants when I was 9.
But he also made us poop our pants when we were children in 1999. You know, us, all of us. It's fine.
It's fine.
But yeah, so it is like it's interesting to add that context to it of Star Wars struggling with this because like they have consistently tried to depict what fear looks like and like how do you make an old man look really fearsome? Make him even more wrinkly in Return of the Jedi. And like things like that.
That's fair. Big success on that front for sure. All right. So
Sorry, I have one more question.
what?
Do we count the dogs as having a name if they are called the Nameless?
No.
I mean, if that's what they're
Maybe. I'm just gonna call them puppies. What?
bad puppies.
Bad dogs? Yeah.
Bad dogs. Bad dogs because of what they do. Not. I
No,
don't want
they're
to.
very good
I don't-
dogs.
I don't want to stomp on Rana thinking they're cute.
Not you, Flix. You're a good dog.
Oh my goodness.
She's like
They're
staring
not
at me
all
like
cute,
me.
but like sometimes when they're, I don't know, it's just
at a certain angle. I get that. All right. So we have a few, I'm trying to like make this episode not 2 hours long. So we do have some information about the Nile creating some sort of like home occlusion zone with the weird little storm seeds that they have, which kind of seem like their own like mixture of whatever happened during the Legacy run and also Chanciero's gravity well, except it explodes things. So
Yeah, and so Eye of the Storm is actually like, I would say it's like the kind of last part of phase 1 because I didn't want to split up the comics. We're reading Midnight Horizon after. But like Eye of the Storm is really the last part. We're gonna learn a lot more about the implications of the occlusions, the occlusion zone and the storm seeds in phase 3. It's a pretty massive plot point there, but it raises kind of the question, I think, and this is a very kind of hypothetical section of the outline, but like, what do the Nile want? Because there's a really interesting part of the Eye of the Storm comic where the kind of like omniscient narrator is like, if Markian Rowe was in touch with his feelings enough to actually know what he wanted, he would say, because I am the only thing that I am the only person who matters, and I don't like it when people who don't matter tell me what to do. Which is just a phenomenal bit of writing of megalomaniacal villains. So shout out to Charles Soule for that one. But also, like, it is really interesting because, like, it's kind of the classic, like, you have all this power, and now what are you going to do with it? Because he basically, like, owns part of the galaxy now. And, like, that would seemingly require some sort of governing. And he doesn't seem the type. And so it's
Well,
just
his-
interesting to think about, what does he actually want?
His whole thing is, I mean, we don't want. I mean, specifically, he doesn't want the Republic, but like no governance. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just lets it be a free for all out there.
He's one of those motherfuckers in the Pacific Northwest who don't actually understand what anarchy is, but they want it.
Yeah, he is big.
It's
like,
giving rural Oregon.
Mm. Ronnie, you were saying something.
no, I
Sorry.
was basically going to say what you guys said, but then I was like, actually, Burb really knows rural Oregon, and I don't, so I'm going to shut the fuck up.
I don't know rural Oregon. I refuse to go there if I
That's
can
fair.
help it because
That's
it's
fucking fair.
scary.
That's a self-preservation instinct.
Rural Oregon, also known as Second Idaho.
Oregon.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. I'm gonna jump to. All right. We're talking about the impact of telling a story in many different forms of media, and is it worth the confusion? I'm gonna fucking spin the general question out to Rana first because you've kind of been like having to hop around on account of just your various actual life commitments that are very, very much more important than this pod.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's fun. I think it captures like sometimes Star Wars takes itself way too fucking seriously. And like Chris said earlier, like this is a medium originally intended or a story originally intended for children. And I think the comics kind of bring it back to its origins. We get more interesting portrayals of aliens and funny sound effects and like people's facial expressions. We get really bright colors. And then you also get the individual artistry choices. So I absolutely think so. I'm gonna hold off on my comment that will make Chris mad for now. But yeah, I love the variation, and I think it helps kind of breathe some new life into the universe.
I thought the comment that was going to make me mad was how I put this point on the outline, and then you put under it, Kate, you're such a MFA, you're such an MFA, and I was like, excuse you, this was my point.
Oh, they do like each other. So I had thought, because I had something about like I have a comment on the art styles and it wasn't any of this, and then there was this like real question after, which usually means Kate said, "Come on, bitches, we have a real podcast." But actually it was Chris, and I'm just so proud of you guys.
To be fair, you basically had to deal with grad school with me, so that kind of tracks.
That's true. Are MFA spouses not really MFAs? Because
MFA widower.
Counted on the resume.
feels like we have all the same qualifications.
Thanks for feeding me for 3 years because I was dying.
You are welcome. See, guys, we do like each other.
Eh,
It's convincing.
eh,
I'm not blinking into the camera.
eh.
I do love the art styles though, and I really love the different art styles of the different comics. I think that that's a real strength of the storytelling, and just allows so much more expression of allowing people to like be a part of Star Wars and envision Star Wars in different ways. Like, obviously I would say the Marvel one is the most like, well, Trail of Shadows was probably the most like realistic, air quotes, art style, with like the High Republic mainline being second, and then you have the High Republic Adventures, which is the children's line of the comics, and it's very like bold lines, bold colors, hard angles, things like that. and it does kind of lend a different way of thinking about the different characters, which I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the manga doesn't do anything for me, and I'm so sorry because I know DJO co-wrote it, and I love his writing, and his sense of humor and his characterization are always really wonderful, and also like the main character is Lily, and she is just the most generic. Like she just doesn't do anything for me. I find her extremely boring. I find her character arc extremely generic. I don't really understand who she is as a person because she has no depth. I'm so sorry. It feels to me like they just wanted to have a manga in the mix and they just slapped something together towards that purpose.
I for sure was like, oh, I must have missed something with the half of the book that I didn't finish because surely there's some reason that we're reading about this person. She is incredibly boring. And
Counterpoint, waifu.
No. As the only Asian on this podcast, unless you believe Bang Shui 3. No. No.
Yeah,
No.
it's very, as somebody who doesn't read manga, it's what I think of as manga and why I don't read it. And you know, I'm provoking people to listen to this podcast so they can yell at me because I know that there are like very extremely in-depth and just really beautiful manga that are out there.
Yes, and I'll fight you on this.
Yes, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I would say it is kind of the stereotype of what people who don't read manga think of when they think of manga. It's like it's the very Sailor Moon looking protagonist who goes on a personal journey of discovery and her morals.
Okay, do not fucking despair Sailor Moon.
I'm not disparaging Sailor Moon.
Usagi
but
actually has a character arc.
I'm not disparaging Sailor Moon, but just I'm in terms
There's
of
actually a character arc there as opposed to a piece of cardboard that somebody
That's why I
chewed up
said
and
look.
spit out. I hope you stub your toe.
That's why I said Sailor Moon
Again,
looking.
I
It's
don't
the art
know if
style.
we should be here for this part of the pod.
Kate's gonna start leaving loose Legos around the house. Just see what happens.
I can do that.
If she did, Flix would eat them.
Oh,
what I will say about the manga style is like the same thing I said, I think, when we had Ronin, which was like, in many ways, it is at least nice to see an art style or an homage to the fact that George Lucas pulled so heavily from like the Kurosawa movies and all sorts of other sort of feudal Japan imagery. So at least in that sense, I'm like, all right, cool having like a Japanese artist do a manga style. But I do hear you, and also I think that it also felt like a lot felt. I don't know what the fuck that was. Anyway, it also felt a lot longer than it needed to.
Because it felt like filler. But I take your point
Yeah,
though about
I
the
do, yeah.
Japanese cultural influence. That's a really, really, really good point.
I don't even remember when the hell we read that. Late 2022, maybe. I don't fucking know.
1 billion years ago.
We were living here because I remember sitting in this particular spot when I got yelled at for not being able to read.
Yeah, you did.
I think it was early 2023 because I definitely was listening to the same soundtrack to that I was when I would like sometimes do beadwork, and I stopped. I did like a little chunk of beadwork when my personal life was on fire, and I'm terrible at it. And then I was like, why the fuck am I doing this? And I stopped by like end of Q1 2023.
See, you know what? Now that you're saying that, I remember that was the episode that your ex listened to and was like, do they actually like each other? Because I was berating Chris for especially not being able to read.
Oh,
don't
you know,
think
that's
that's
probably true. But then but that was way before I dated that guy. So he would have had to go way, way, way back.
Right.
Well, what the fuck was he doing, weirdo?
I think it was a different episode, but that's neither here nor there.
Kate berating Chris, never.
Yeah, that never
couldn't happen on
happens
more
in
than one
any episode.
I liked the pictures.
Thank you.
I think it was. I don't do manga. I only read comics when we do it for the pod. I do like that it added, you know, kind of to Chris's point earlier, like even across the comics there were a lot of different art styles, and I think it was fun. It was different. It was incredibly boring, but like just in the story, because it's like, oh, we gotta do this, and let's put something here to vaguely tie into everything, and I guess we've introduced these characters, so we must continue with them.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was beautifully rendered in terms of visual style for sure, like you were saying.
It was so nice to look at.
Yeah, and also, it's and then the actual text felt like fluff, but that's it.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, and no disrespect to DJO who wrote Volume 1, and I want to say Justina Ireland wrote Volume 2, which we read for this one.
It was still DKO.
Was it?
I think it was
Okay,
DJO.
Justina
Wrote it.
Ireland maybe wrote a later one, or maybe wrote the first. I don't know. She was somehow involved with them, but I do think that it leans very heavily into the kind of like basic morality play that Star Wars is like based on, which like, like back to roots, I get it, but also like how many more times do we need that story to be told, Um and I do think that, it's a great, I like it as an entry point. I go very, we'll talk more about this at the end of all the High Republic, but like I go back and forth on like, is it an overall positive or negative that so many different forms of media are a part of this story? And I think one of the positive aspects is that it's a great entry point if you're somebody who has like seen the Star Wars movies, but you're really more of like a manga anime guy or person, excuse me. And
Can women not like manga?
Nope, you
no,
heard
they
it here.
absolutely can.
Doesn't sound like it.
Women famously hate waifus.
Yes.
Women, non-binary people, nope.
Burb
Hate 'em.
specifically
They hate 'em.
hates waifus.
Hates waifus.
Um,
Never thinks about boobies.
Ever.
Like
Um,
Elzar.
like Elzar. And so like from the standpoint of being like, this is an entry point to like combining Star Wars and manga, which are like two interests that a person may have, and then they're maybe like, oh, I want to know more about this story. Like, I think from that standpoint as an entry point, it's interesting, but yeah, it's the story of the Edge of Balance can be told in like a solid 4 pages of text at most. So it's not the deepest chapter.
This could have been an email.
The Edge of Balance could have been an email.
So,
The Edge of Balance probably was an email at some point,
Oh
if
my
you think
gosh.
about it.
so I'm gonna fold this into the next question about just like, could you just read some of this and get it? Like, could you just read the adult books and get the full story? I think it would be like kind of a lot of character overload, but I think you could get it. But also, I'm speaking as a person who is just like, I would, independent of doing this podcast, I would probably devour everything because it's fun. So
Yeah, I think I feel like I've said this on the podcast before. Is I think I really love just like the books in general because it is just like world building and it's all this kind of like accessory stuff to the main plot of Star Wars. And I think where my concern would come in specifically with the High Republic is like, what is like the main story? And it's not the High Republic in itself. That's not really how it operates. Like, it's not like the Ovech trilogy where it's like, first we have Luke Skywalker, space twink, here to find his dad.
Mhm.
Then we have, okay, so his dad was a genocidal maniac. And then we have apparently Palpatine fucked, and but it's like there's a through story, and it's like this is obviously like the main plot, and the High Republic is just like we so far in Phase 1 we have like the big space disaster guy, we have the Republic Fair on Valo, we have the Starlight Beacon exploding and falling into the atmosphere. And outside of that, like, how much of that is crucial to like being able to follow the plot line, like from like between and through those things? If this is meant as like mostly something to be experienced in the books, then I think it's great to have like comics and stuff where it's like, oh, you don't need this information. But like here's all this extra stuff that is gonna help your understanding and your appreciation of the main story. Um but like I don't, because this is so decentralized, in comparison to other things we've seen in Star Wars, I'm like, I don't know what. And I would say maybe this changes with Phase 2, but apparently I don't know fuck about Phase 2, because apparently nobody's coming back.
They come back in Phase 3, but yeah, Phase 2 is completely different.
So I will see them in 3 to 5 business years.
That is how this podcast goes.
But like, is there information that's coming up in, like, and granted, do I pay attention enough to notice this? Probably not. But like, if something happens in a book where they're like, oh, this thing, and then something that happens in the comics, is it like something like we've talked about in the past, where like, you know, a wink and a nod to something that like the real sickos would know that they show on TV, or is it like a plot point that I should know?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's a fine line.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think one thing that I struggle with, and also, so I'm very bitter about this right now because I'm in the middle of Phase 3 and trying to catch up with Phase 3, and literally there's major plot points in Audible originals specifically that you cannot access unless you give Amazon specifically your money, and I'm really pissed off about
That sucks.
So that honestly kind of soured me on a lot of the intent.
That does suck.
I do think that like my issue is like if you read, for example, only the adult books, and I don't think that this is an unreasonable assumption that people would not delve into the YA books. They certainly wouldn't delve into the middle grade books, and they probably don't even know that the comics exist. If you only read the adult books, being Light of the Jedi, Rising Storm, and Fallen Star, you would have absolutely no clue what the Drengir are or why they matter.
Oh, yeah.
They're straight up, there's like one mention of them in the Rising Storm explaining why Avar isn't here.
Oh, you're so right.
And that to me, I think is an issue.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's the comics follow different characters, which I think is not inherently a problem. But when you leave out like something that is supposed to be such a core facet of kind of the villain class of Star Wars, now we can also talk if the Drengir were like, what was their point even, but that's a different conversation. Because,
different issue.
Yeah, different issue of what happened to that storyline. But I don't know, that to me is like what frustrates me a little bit with the different media, because I think it's a very fine line of making it all additive without making it gatekeeping. And I don't know. The jury is still out for me on how that succeeded, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna have to read like the whole entire rest of it to like to form an opinion. So luckily we're gonna do that on the pod.
Famously a Star Wars books pod.
All right, let's
Chris,
wrap
can
it
I
up.
cut you off?
Oh yes,
Can I
go.
Real quick. I'm sorry. This is not important. But I knew as soon as I thought that this was going to be a problem, and I had to bring it up. You know I hate Stellan. You know I hate him. I have to say, whoever the artist was, whose name I've already forgotten, who did Edge of Balance and who did the first of the group of comics of the first ones who I've already forgotten, of the ones, you know, not 8 through 13 or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they draw him so fine? For what? For
He's-
what?
Can I
You're
say
not wrong. You're
Trash.
not wrong.
He's
I mean,
trash.
like, it makes sense though, because like, you know, when
They're
he
a very attractive trio. Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's that's true, and also like, you know, if you're gonna make any Jedi a poster boy to like stick on the HoloNet, yeah, that makes sense.
But the other two just don't do it for me. But then I was thinking, I was like, why?
No,
Why?
it's pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up.
I just had to
So-
say it. Sorry. Go ahead, Brent.
I'm gonna add on to this. I sent it to apparently both Kate and Chris. kind of like at the beginning of the first set of comics. Which one was it? The Marvel comics.
Mhm.
They showed like Kiev first as like part of the Nile before we go back into like, oh, they're undercover. I sent a screenshot of like one of the panels, and I said, "If evil, why hot?"
You're correct.
See,
It was
Burb, I
real-
got you.
It was really funny because so we were on vacation this past week, and Burb was texting me that like as we were like sitting down at like a nice restaurant for dinner, and Kate was like trying to hide it because it was my birthday, but really annoyed that I was on my phone so much. And I was like, I'm sorry, Burb's just having a crisis because the comics are hot.
I didn't fucking say anything. I don't think my face said anything. All right, we gotta wrap this.
Your face did say something. You didn't say anything. Your
All
face
right, we
did
gotta
say
wrap this
something.
pod so we can have an
Thank you
argument.
for listening to this episode
I'm not part of this,
of the Book Wars Pod. Next
despite
episode,
deeply being part of this.
we're it was fine. Then I explained to Kate what was going on, and she was like, "No, I understand why this is."
I didn't say shit.
We're going to be reading Midnight Horizon by Daniel Jose Older. We're reading the start of the book through chapter 28, it's roughly the first half. So join us for that. In the meantime, if you have the means, please first and foremost donate to the Harriet Tubman Center in Los Angeles, which you can find them by their Linktree. Linktree/Harriet Tubman, if you know how Linktrees work.
I hate you, Chris.
Just search Harriet Tubman Center. The Googles will help you. They haven't taken those over yet. Mostly. No, that's not true. AI has made it useless. Secondly, if you want to support us, you can donate to the Tosh Station Radio Patreon or give us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. The Patreon, we have our no longer new $2 tier to watch us stream. We've both been streaming Outlaws recently, actually, in a fun plot twist.
I want to restart playing the Halo co-op just so I can shoot you in the back of the head because you're fucking annoying.
I did stop paying for Game Pass, so we'll need to figure that out.
Chris sucks.
But yeah,
just did
always
that too.
always keep friendly fire on.
I'm leaving the pod because Chris sucks.
Our theme song is
Again.
Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and
I don't
artwork.
know if we need to be here for this part.
Feels like
Our logo and artwork
monumental.
are by Joby Terra Design. Our audio and production are done by soon-to-be Dr. Producer Devin Keys. From all of us, myself, Kate, Miranda, Rana, Devin, Argos, Blue, Flix, Magenta, Merly, Orca, and Tony, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Fuck you, Chris.
Oh man.
Manny Jacinto has a beautiful face. I am not too straight to admit that.